Hello and welcome to another artwork. Today I'm going to be using these glass pebbles. So I'm just going to place them on the board just to see how they are looking. So I'm thinking something along those lines, and like in the previous video I'm going to add some acrylic diamonds and we're going to tint the board. So the first thing we're going to do is add the gel medium. So we'll take these off and we will add the gel medium. So the gel medium I'm using today is Chrome Acryl Impasto gel medium. Now this dries clear. You can use any gel medium. I just recommend that you use one that dries clear, because then as you add colour to it, it doesn't end up milky, because some of the other gel mediums remain white and it just gives your colours a bit of a pastel look, so, and a bit of a milky look. So using this particular brand, or the Liquitex brand also goes clear that I know of. I'm not sure about other brands, you would have to do your own research on that. I will leave some links in the description for these products, and if I can't find these products, the particular brand, on Amazon, I will find an alternative like the Liquitex gel medium, and that's just to help you find the right product. So we're going to now add our stones. Just make sure they're pushed into the gel medium well. Just make sure they're stuck. So when you actually push it in, you sort of feel like a vacuum, and although you can still slide them around to get the positioning right, it just means that you've not got any air bubbles underneath. So once they're in place, I can actually move them around just to make sure that they are how I want those. So in the last video I placed the acrylic diamonds into this jar and mixed it with some gel medium, and as you can see that's still pretty wet. So I'm going to add some more to this, some more gel medium, and then we're going to apply those stones onto the board. So I'm just going to add these into here, add some gel medium, and then using a stick we're just going to mix these in with the gel medium. So that should do it. So now I'm going to apply these around the stones. So I'm just going to make sure I've got plenty of gel medium around the outside, just so that the diamonds have got something to stick to. So I'm just going to make sure I've got plenty around the outside. Now this one I want the stones to flare out at the outside, just so that it's got a slightly different feel and look to it. And now we're just going to add these to the board. So I'm just going to add it and then we're going to move it around. So now I'm just pushing this down into the thing and just moving it around. I'm just pushing those around a little bit so that we've got it then placed on the board a little bit more evenly, although it doesn't matter if they are raised and not completely straight, because that gives it the more organic feel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle some of this crushed glass gravel in amongst the white so that we've not got such a hard white. So I'm just going to pour a little bit into the lid. That just makes it easier for me to grab. And then I'm just going to sprinkle this over the surface. Just push these down into, just sort of mix them in a little bit so that they get a little bit of the gel medium in there. So next we're going to add, I'm just going to push them up a little bit. Now this is just for the time being until I've put some more gel medium over the rest of the board, and then I'll spread them back out a little bit. So we need some more gel medium across the rest of this to give it some texture. Now this one I've already mixed some powder pigment in with the gel medium, so if you want to see how I mix this in, then check out the link above. But now I'm just going to add this to the gel medium just to get a bit of a random effect, which I'm going to start off a little bit darker closer to the stones, and then we'll move out a little bit lighter as we move the palette knife out. So we'll just spread that out as best we can. When this is dry, it gives a really nice shimmery effect on the surface, so different lights it will look slightly different. So it'll look more green and blue depending on the light source and how you're looking at it, so it does actually leave a nice effect. So now that that's clean, I'm now going to push these stones back over and out, just so that we've got not such a hard line, but it's a little bit more random edge. So I feel this is looking a little bit wishy-washy just now, and it needs a little bit more contrast, so I'm actually going to go with a sapphire pigment and just see if I can just add a little bit of darkness to the edge here. And I'm just dipping the palette knife in the pigment. So I've decided these areas do actually need to be a bit darker, just to show this lighter area in the centre. So I'm actually going to use a little bit of paint to darken up these areas. So to darken up the areas, I'm actually going to use Payne's Grey and Phthalo Turquoise, and starting off with the darker areas near the edge and then moving out slightly lighter. So I'm going to start off with the slightly darker colour, which I'm just going to put a smidge on there, and then I'm just going to move that about a bit. And I'll do the same on this other side. So next I'm going to add some of the Phthalo Turquoise, if I can get the lid off. I'm going to again add a smidge to the palette knife, and then I'm just going to drag that across the surface. So doing this has given me some ideas for the next piece, that I'll do the colours first and then add the stones after. Tomorrow when this is dry, I may add a little bit of contrast around these stones, but I'll see tomorrow when this is dry. So I'm liking it a bit better now, so we'll leave this to dry and we'll come back to it tomorrow. So I've decided that this colour needs to be a bit stronger in this area, so I'm going to add some more turquoise, and then I'm going to add some turquoise around the stones. I just felt it was just lacking a little bit, so by just getting underneath here I can actually you can start seeing these acrylic diamonds sticking out a little bit, so they stand out a little bit more and you can see the shape. So I'm just going to go around there and just add a little bit of colour. And by using a flat brush, I'm able to get underneath those areas quite easily. See how you're starting to see more of the shape of the acrylic diamonds? It just makes it stand out a touch more. I'm also going to go over certain areas here just to help this area pop. So it just gives it a little bit more contrast. And by just putting a bit of a wash over the top, you can still see the other colours, the darker colour underneath. I'll just give it a little spritz of water so that I can just spread this about a little bit easier, because I only want to wash over the top. And then I'm going to do the same with the other side. So I'm just going to turn the board around to make it a little bit easier for me to get to. So now I'm going to add some of the darker blue around the edges of these stones. So I'm just dabbing it onto those areas just to tint these stones just ever so slightly. I also decided to add a touch of the blue around the edges, outer edges of the stones, just to help make it pop a little bit more. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint another layer of gel medium over the top of these stones just to catch any loose ones, and then they will then stick to the stones underneath. So I'm just going to go over and just help stick those stones down. The gel medium will also protect the paint on top of the stones from just chipping off. It just gives it a little bit of added protection. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. So until the next video, bye for now.